Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Kick It with the Joneses. Today, we're going to talk about our definition of
womanhood.
Womanhood.
That's
Cool.
right.
Yep.
All right.
All right, y'all. So let's get into it. We are talking about womanhood again, and what it means to us, what it's all about. So first, just to give a little context, Webster's definition of woman is basically the state
Womanhood.
of being woman. Womanhood is basically the state of being a woman with the distinguishing qualities of being a woman. So
There's a lot of woman in that woman definition.
Yeah,
That's real vague.
a little bit, right? But I guess to defend Webster a little bit, the definition has kind of changed a little bit in regards to what does a woman look like, what does a woman do, what do they act like, what do they say,
That's true.
Yeah,
so
very true.
the definition has kind of, I would say, broadened over time. So
They left it vague for a reason.
Yeah, understandable.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
did
So
Webster know about women?
What?
Well, because
did Webster know about women?
well, because women in and of itself is different because of identity more so than anything.
Right, yes, I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. So we wanted to share what our definition, being a woman,
right.
what our definition of womanhood is. So, Maya, what is your take on it? What's your definition of womanhood?
Again, to Webster's defense, it can be a little tricky because, like you said, with identity and how people identify. But I would say that women tend to have the quality of tend to be nurturers and strong. I would say, and also just thoughtful. That's kind of how I would place
Womanhood?
womanhood.
Yeah.
In that sense, thoughtful, strong, and have some kind of like a nurturing characteristic.
about
Somewhat. I mean, and that can kind of range, but I feel like that's kind of to me anyway. That's what I think.
And I think womanhood are those things that you mentioned. I think I would still be caught up in the definition of womanhood by the characteristics of a woman.
Right.
Of what does a woman actually look like. So women tend to wear makeup, or they tend to dress a certain way, or they act ladylike, so to speak.
Is that womanhood?
I don't know. But I think womanhood definitely deals with the strength. There's definitely inner strength in being a woman.
Yeah.
Not saying that men don't have an inner strength, but I think it's a little different. Like you talk about woman intuition.
Yeah.
I think that's a real thing.
Right.
Because women know, even though they might not want to admit it. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's what the deal. I think that's what I think womanhood kind of is.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess in that definition of womanhood, how would you what would you say was your introduction to womanhood and what that is and what that looked like? You think if you guys want to start off, what would you say?
from an early
male,
age?
yeah, from like a male perspective. I'm kind of curious, so maybe we can start with that.
Yeah.
That's interesting because obviously in terms of womanhood, obviously you would be
The intro.
the intro to that, being my mom. I don't know. It's weird because it's interesting because I feel like I've been around women for a lot of my life. That includes you. That includes you, obviously, Maya.
Right.
But that includes like a lot of your friends, grandparents, your mother, my nana, right?
Right.
So throughout a lot of my life, I've been surrounded by like older women, or again people like my peers. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
So I feel like that probably shaped maybe my understanding on certain things.
Right.
Yeah, I would say so because I would say seeing that I saw the range of women, so I never thought of women as one particular thing ever.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So because I saw a bunch of different women.
So
Yeah.
the diversity of women.
So I think that helped in terms of, bucking the male trend of just seeing women as, you're in the, the misogynistic
right,
trend,
right,
I guess.
kitchen,
In the
Yeah,
kitchen.
like in the
right,
kitchen or
right.
anything like that. Because it's like, no, women can do a bunch of different things. I've seen a lot of women do a bunch of different
Right.
things. They're people just like literally anybody else.
Right. They could be in the kitchen or they can mow the lawn.
Exactly.
They can be
Exactly. I saw grandma cook, but you were a working person.
Right.
So
right.
I saw the gambit of it. I guess.
Right. The
Yeah.
spectrum.
And grandma was a working person too.
Right.
That's true. I
But-
she
right.
worked back when she exactly. Oh, she
exactly.
was working. I just didn't see it because I was a kid, but she was working.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. That's weird to think about, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, she was working too.
That's right. That's hilarious.
And what would you say, Dad?
For me, I don't know, starting off early, I'd say there were definitely a lot of male figures in my life, but all the early remembrances and things, I always remember just women. The main figures in my life were all women. When I was a kid, the main characters, whether it was my aunts,
Yeah.
I mean, even though my uncles was there,
Right.
Right.
but it was my aunt, my grandma, my cousins, more so because I had a lot of girl cousins. But the main characters in my upbringing that I guess can remember were all women. So that shaped how
It molded how you
how I see women,
Yeah.
coming up as far as being dominant figures and handling business,
Word.
taking care of stuff.
getting
Definitely.
stuff done.
Even though, because I didn't know, because being older, the male figures kind of moved in their own little space,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
The older,
Okay.
older gentleman. My pops, pops was there.
Right.
But, he working, and my mom worked too. But
was
just him,
different.
it was different.
Right.
Mom, come home. Because I'm not seeing the work part, right? So they could,
Right.
I'm seeing the
As a
home
kid.
part.
Like Marcus
Right.
was just talking
Yeah.
about.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing the home part. Mom cooking. Mom, Pops was there. We used to watch TV with him. He's there. He's chilling. But taking us to different things is mom.
Right.
Going to to different events. Going whether it's Cub Scout, whether it's this, going to it's mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Your Pop wasn't going to Cub Scouts?
No, but
Do you
he
remember
took.
him going to Cub Scouts?
No, definitely not.
Right,
Mom, 'cause
yeah.
she was in it.
Right.
But I mean, I
It's
remember him
interesting,
taking
yeah.
me to baseball.
So certain
Okay.
things.
Certain things.
I
Certain
guess.
things,
Right.
but just the whole focus. But anyway, in seeing like Marcus was saying, women in all facets.
Right.
But how does
Important.
that impact you on how you think of women? That womanhood piece.
Well, I think for me, it makes me think of women. There's no chauvinistic views
Right.
because I know women are people. What women can do. Women molded me,
Yeah.
so I don't see them as lesser or they should be doing this for me or I should
Exactly.
they should be.
And that wasn't modeled for you.
that
either.
wasn't a model for me.
Yeah.
I
by the
shouldn't
men
be.
in your life. It
By-
wasn't modeled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Same. Yeah.
Maya, that's a very important point.
Right.
Because I saw how the men in my life interacted
Yeah.
with the women. That was also, even though the men, like I said, the women were dominant, the way how the men and women interacted is also a molder.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that definitely
You see the
makes
relationship.
You see the relationships. And I didn't see, chauvinistic behavior or any, women is treated lesser than or whatever.
They were a team.
They were either a team or woman dominant in some cases.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I saw it.
And I think even particularly in the African American community, I feel like we tend to see more stronger women. Like I feel like that's like the strong black woman thing. It could be a bad thing, but it could be a good thing. I feel like in our community, black women are usually tend to be seen as strong.
Strong.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
again,
Holding the
good and
family
bad.
together.
Holding the
type
family
thing.
together.
Right.
Pros and
Right.
cons. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Pros and cons. It's a lot of
Right.
pressure.
Yeah.
Right. It's a lot of
It's a lot
pressure
of
on
pressure.
women.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I think at a young age, what you both said is so key. In my experience of womanhood, where I'm watching women how they behave, and I've definitely embodied some of those traits
Molded.
that I saw. Right, it molded me, like my
Right.
mother and my grandmother and my aunt. Same thing. Like there was always, to me, I think there were like maybe types of women. So I was able to take from those types of women.
Right.
There was a
Pieces.
woman who was educated, like in my aunt, right? My aunt Mona, she's highly educated. I wanted
Right.
to aspire to do that
Right.
and be like her. My mother, just in her giving and her nurturing way. She's not like a hugger or anything like that, but she's nurturing in the
gives to
things that
people.
she does.
Yeah.
She gives to people and she cares about people
She
so
checks
much.
in on people.
Right.
Always
she's
willing,
thoughtful.
always ready to take care of other people.
Exactly.
Yeah, very much so.
And then from, because we got together at a young age, things that I learned from your mother that, you say that, like I'm a
Activities.
cheerleader, and I'm a hype man.
the
That's from, thinking about that right now. Okay, I'm not gonna cry, but thinking about that right now.
You're gonna get me started.
That's how your mom was. She always was a
Oh my
cheerleader.
God, yes.
And I,
She
and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
this is so crazy because I do the same thing. I like to hype people up. I like to make people feel that way. So, women definitely had an impact. All the women in my life. So, my grandma just, being who she was, and
Right.
my Aunt Bibi being, raw.
Unadulterated,
Yeah, like my Aunt Pat,
Straight
my,
to it.
my Aunt Liz, like
Fun.
fun. There's all kind of women in my life, and that makes you part of who you are in being a woman, in womanhood.
Definitely.
So-
I mean, I couldn't have said it better. I mean, yes to all what you
Right.
guys just
Yeah.
said in terms
Yeah.
of my growing up. Seeing you, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you were my introduction to womanhood, and I always aspired to be like you,
Right.
kind, fun, educated, just,
Yeah.
and like you said, all the women from Nana to, our aunts to, your friends who are basically our aunts, my auntie Ellen,
Right.
you
Right,
know,
yeah, basically.
just, inspiring. And I've never had to subscribe to the stereotypes because
Yeah.
I saw too many examples and I was not brought up that way.
Right.
So I had
Interesting.
no choice but to be how I am, and
Right.
aspire to, womanhood being arranged.
Being arranged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do
Absolutely.
you think is the evolution of that exactly in terms of? Because obviously we have a lot of these sort of like strong examples, and we've had a lot of these strong examples as far back as you guys,
Right.
When
Right.
you were young,
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
What do
That's
you-
true.
Right.
It's interesting to sort of
Yep.
think about, I guess, the future of womanhood. Again, we were kind of talking about identity and whatnot. So that's a whole thing that's sort of like changing within our society.
Absolutely.
Not that it hasn't
Right.
been there already, but like
But the names and the labels and all that stuff, we're kind of getting into it, and the conversation is more at the forefront than before.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
true.
believe.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think even though we saw those strong woman figures, going far back, when we were kids, I think still there's room for women to grow and move in spaces that
Yeah.
they aren't. And I think women are taking more of an approach that I don't need to be married to be supported. I can be on my own. And I remember my mother saying that, to me as a young woman,
Really?
to make sure,
Wow.
Wow.
to make sure that you can sustain yourself no
Right.
matter what.
Which is crazy because the mentality, at least you would think the mentality back then would be,
Right,
oh, you need to
yeah.
find
Find a
yourself a
man.
man. Yeah.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
some
like-
people subscribe to that.
No.
Oh,
but-
Yeah, people
Definitely.
still subscribe to that.
especially
Right.
the older,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, my mother
Right.
always said be independent. And I think that women more so now
Right.
really are like, you know what? I need to be
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see
absolutely.
that. The average age of marriage is rising. Women are having children later and
Yeah.
focusing on their careers or whatever they want to do. So you
Right.
see a lot of that now, in which more power to them.
Right,
You
yeah.
know.
That's also, that's cool because it's like, I would imagine that's a lot of factors, but that's societal reasons as far as just like being able to afford stuff. But that's a whole other topic.
It
but,
is.
Yikes.
but
Yeah.
it's crazy. But it's crazy.
That's
but
true.
no, but it's crazy
Y'all
in
got it,
terms
bro.
of thinking about that, like, because for women it seems like I don't know if it's a stereotype or if it's actual thing in terms of like the biological clock element of it.
That's not stereotypical.
No, that's a real
It
thing.
That's
isn't
the thing.
though.
That's like the-
For women,
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And that's a big factor, and I think a lot of women feel pressure because of that.
Oh,
They
definitely.
not only feel pressure for themselves, but they pressure from someone like me. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's
Who wants grandkids?
who wants
Yeah.
grandkids, but it's real. It's really real.
It
because
really needs to stop.
Okay, all right. But yeah,
On that note,
but okay, evolution of womanhood. But it does. This is, actually, I love this conversation because womanhood, what I took from this was it could be kind of all things. We can be all things, which I think is so important.
without a doubt.
You
Yeah.
know?
Right. And it's I think it's very freeing.
Right, absolutely. And you know what? I remember a while ago, a friend of mine said that men tend to have a harder time and are or more depressed, so to speak,
Yeah.
than women because
Yeah,
men
that's true.
can't necessarily. Society says they can't be all things.
Right.
But
They're
that's
boxed in.
They're boxed in more, right? Exactly. But women are more free.
Right, like if you people stereotype, oh, that dude got flowers in his hair, he might
Right,
be gay.
exactly. Right, he just wore flowers in
right.
his hair.
A woman could do that. It's whatever,
Right.
She can wear pants, she can wear
some
skirts, she
flowers
can do
in
all
my
this
hair.
other stuff. Men,
Right.
men do that. It's kind of like, oh, what you doing?
They get in the side eye.
Yeah.
So
But a woman can do that.
a woman can do that, right? A woman can do that. So we want to continue this conversation.
Absolutely.
It's a great conversation about womanhood, and it is Women's History Month, so I think it's very apropos, wouldn't you say?
I would say so.
Without a doubt.
Definitely continue this conversation. Tell us what maybe your definition of womanhood is. We could talk about it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we also have a YouTube channel.
So if you're probably watching this, you're probably watching this on YouTube, so you should subscribe to that YouTube channel, like the video, because that helps. Also, comment on the video, because that's awesome. And also, hit the notification bell,
Ding, ding.
so you get notified whenever we put out new videos.
Thank you so much for watching Let's Kick It with the Joneses, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.
Please.
Peace out.